If you are looking to get into real estate but don't know where to begin, or if you're already doing real estate but wanting to explore the different options of different niches out there, this is a great book for you.
Hello and welcome to Pillars of Wealth Creation, where we talk about creating financial success with a special focus on business and real estate. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer. Now, let's get to it. Hello, welcome back to Pillars of Wealth Creation. I'm your host, Todd Dexheimer. With me, as always, we got Matt Jones. Matt, how are you doing today?
I'm doing excellent. How are you doing, Todd?
I'm doing fantastic, man. It is, beginning of the new year, 2021. I know a lot of people are like, 2021 is going to be awesome because 2020 was just a throwaway year. We've talked about it. 2020 was a great year. It is kind of what you make out of it, and I was actually talking to Jay, who I think it was just on our podcast, or maybe he's coming up anyways. And, he got laid off from his job and made the most out of a bad situation. He talked about how he kind of was depressed for a few days, but realized hey, it's his opportunity to make something out of it. And that's always what's going to happen. It's your opportunity to make something out of it. So you got to decide to either take it or to, complain and whine and blame. But 2021, man, it's going to be an awesome year. I'm excited for it. Ready for the year to begin and move on and just continue to push and be stronger as a business and get more done, man.
Yeah, exactly. We as entrepreneurs, even if we do encounter challenges or problems, we're still going to adjust and shift and make the best of any bad situation.
Yeah, well, and the key right there is what you just said, right? Adjust and shift. We've got to adjust and shift. And quite frankly, business is always adjusting and shifting. And if you're not adjusting and shifting, well, then you're going to get left behind. So sometimes it adjusts and shifts quicker. Sometimes it's slower. And in times of turmoil, it's typically pretty dang quick.
Yep. And I actually have a couple of pieces of good news that I want to share.
Let's do it.
Just this past week, I had my first six-figure payday, which is pretty phenomenal. So I'm excited about that.
So, but you got to explain.
So the first property that I ever bought, a triplex that I house hacked, I owned it for a little over 5 years, and I just sold it, and it had a lot of built-up equity. So it was very nice.
Awesome. Yeah. So that's really cool. Got to sell that. You held it long-term. So long-term capital gains, or did you live in it?
Yep. Lived in it for, so it's also capital gains free.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful, man. That's awesome. So a second piece of good news, what's that?
Well, I just finally got my book published. So it's on Amazon right now, and it'll be on Barnes & Noble pretty soon.
Already?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's been a long time in the coming.
That's awesome. That's exciting. And that's actually what I want to spend some time on. So I want to actually ask you some questions. So first question I've got for you, Matt, is why did you even decide to write a book? What was the reasoning for it?
So I was reading the 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss, and part of that is finding some sort of niche thing that is going to help you to accomplish your goals. And so I was thinking about, as I was reading that, I was like, okay, come on, brain. Think of an idea. What's my little niche? And I thought for like a day and a half, no ideas at all. And then all of a sudden it hit me like, hey, what if I wrote a book about other real estate books? Sort of summarized and reviewed and had the key highlights of the whole spectrum of real estate investing, so that somebody who reads my book can become a layman very quickly, understand all the terms and the aspects, so that they can actually have a conversation with other real estate investors and know kind of what they're talking about at least. And I thought, well, man, this is a good idea, but just better Google it, because somebody else has already written this book. It already exists, because it's the kind of book, I actually want to buy it because I want to read it. So I looked it up, and there was no such book at all. It was sort of a novel idea, I suppose. And then I consulted with a property rights attorney to make sure that I could actually even do it legally. And turns out with the fair rights law, or fair use law rather, there's certain things that I have to do to make sure that I'm following it. So I'm not just like copying people's
Yeah,
work.
you're not plagiarizing their
Yeah, I'm not
work.
plagiarizing. So I'm more, I read all these different top books and then choose like which sort of like the best one about single family and the best one about, small multifamily and apartments and self-storage and whatnot. And then I, change it into my own words. I summarize it and review it and kind of like, here's what I found most useful, the concepts, and squeeze each book down to a chapter size.
So I'm going to interrupt you because I'm going to ask. I wanted to ask some of those questions, and you're going into it, but I want to ask you again specifically why you wrote it. So you wrote it to find your niche, but
Yeah,
I mean, what is that? What is that like? What is it doing? Why? Let's get to the actual reason.
that's
Why.
fair. Yeah. So I've done some real estate deals on my own, and I wanted, some small deals, but I wanted more credibility to be able to access some bigger deals and more deals, and to be able to work with other people. And I realized, well, I could either, work my butt off trying to get the experience, which, I'm in the process of doing that. But I also need something to gain me credibility, as also I wanted to add value to people. One of my sort of themes of my life is I want to help people to become better versions of themselves. And I love books as well. And I thought I could combine all those things together by writing this book to build other people up with their real estate knowledge, to get them a jump start on understanding real estate that I didn't really have when I first started out, as well as to have some credibility by saying like, hey, look, I'm actually pretty knowledgeable about real estate, and then this gives me access to potential partners and deals and
Yep.
financing and such that I wouldn't have had otherwise. And then maybe I'll make some money, but I'm not so much doing it to make a fortune off the book. I more want to show people that there's another way of life out there, and real estate is such a beautiful thing.
So you have four pictures on the front cover. Did you highlight 4 books? How many books did you highlight?
There are altogether 23 different books. I have
23.
22 that are actually in my book, and then I have a free bonus chapter that you can download at hawqueencapital.com/free. And so the you can see on my behind me here, there's a picture of the cover, and so I just had a few sort of samples of there's a mobile home, there's a single family, there's a large multifamily, and then there's some people making a deal. So just sort of to illustrate that there's a big spectrum of real estate investing knowledge in this book.
What are some of the niches that you covered in the book?
Well, I covered, like I mentioned, single family, small multifamily apartments. There's also self-storage. There's tax lien investing. There's mortgage note investing. There's REITs, which aren't exactly like real estate, but in a way it is. And then there's commercial real estate. So I'm talking about if you're getting triple net leases from strip malls, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And there's also some different aspects of real estate investing. So there's a chapter about property management. So if the whole idea was that somebody, by reading this book, they understand all the different aspects of real estate investing. Now, there were some sort of angles of real estate investing that there just isn't a good book about, like buying resorts or theme parks. There's not a book about that out there. So because it's just, that's a super niche thing.
Right. So there you go. You got to learn how to do that, and then you can write a book on that.
Exactly.
That's cool. So so you chose the books by reading. Did you choose them? Did you go, I want to look up the top rated books in real estate, or how did you go about just thinking about the books that you wanted to even?
Well, I started researching all the different ways of investing in real estate.
Yeah.
And so then I had my topics, and then from each topic, I researched all the different top books about that. And then I chose which one I thought was going to be the best one.
Got it. So you said, hey, multifamily and, multifamily books. And you got to see which ones. So what was your multifamily book? So that's my niche, and that's yours. And so what's your multifamily book or
Well,
books?
well, yeah, there's a small multifamily. So investing in duplexes, triplexes, and quads is the small multifamily one. And then the large multifamily one is kind of duplicates as a syndication, which is the best ever apartment syndication book.
Got it. Got it. And then, so did you have to talk with the authors?
I did. I reached out to all of them. Not all of them responded. For example, like one of the chapters is about Rich Dad Poor Dad by Robert Kiyosaki. He did not respond to me reaching out to him, but that's okay. But a lot of
So
the authors did respond.
you didn't need to reach out to them for permission to
No.
write about the book. You just reached out to them for maybe some more insight or have a conversation and let them know what you were doing.
Yep, exactly. And some of them were, creating new editions of their books. So they like sent me out like advanced copies of those so that I could make sure that I have the most up-to-date information.
No, that's great.
Yeah, the thing I think about my book, about all these different books I'm highlighting, it's not a replacement for those books. So like if you read my chapter on single family house investing and that's really interesting, my advice is that buy the original book. Yeah, because like if I'm squeezing 400 pages down to 20 pages or whatever, there's some stuff that's getting missed out from the original books. So my advice to my readers is to, if you like what's in my chapter about single family investing, buy the full book on that I'm referencing. And then I also have a few recommendations of additional reading for single family in that chapter as well.
Well, one of the things I think a lot of people that are getting into real estate or are wanting to get into real estate, they just have no clue like what is possible. So a lot of people just settle on one thing, right? I'm going to settle on buying single family houses and renting them out, or I'm going to settle on flipping houses, or I'm going to settle on wholesaling, or whatever it might be. And they don't really know what the possibilities are. And so that's one thing I thought was really cool. When I first heard you talk about this book, and that was quite a while ago, I think, I think
it was 2019, I think.
2019. Yeah. So when you were first talking about the book, I was like, this is going to be phenomenal. What a great topic to be talking about. Introducing this to people, just to get people interested and involved, get people to understand it. There's so many misconceptions out there. And so if they can read this book about other books, they don't have to pick up 22, and then if they get the bonus 23, they don't have to pick up 23 books. They can read in one book about the 23 books, about the 23 different topic strategies, and then they can go, okay, I want to buy these 3 books or these 2 books or whatever it is and really dig in. Or I want to buy this one book, and then when I buy that book, I'm going to find out some of the other books in that niche. So to me, it's a great way to introduce people to it, and really get them to start thinking about the different niches, because there's just so much that we can do in this. And like you said, there's even some stuff that you couldn't even write about because there's no books about it. So there's even more, by the way.
Yeah. And all the authors that I reached out to and was able to interact with, they were all really positive, because essentially I'm trying to get people to buy their books as well. And we've even had a few of the authors on the Pillars of Wealth Creation, like for example, E.B. Farmer, who I wrote a chapter about his book on raw land investing.
Yeah. Well, and Joe Fairless with the best ever. He's been on. Who else has been on? There's been quite a few of them, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So that's really cool. So how do people buy it? Well, they can go to where?
So they can go to Amazon, and if you just search "Book About Real Estate," which is the title, then you could also search my name as well. So "Book About Real Estate," Matt Jones, in Amazon, and that'll bring it up. There's Kindle edition, there's paperback. We're working on creating the audiobook, which will be out later this year as well.
Are you reading the audio? I know you went back and forth whether you're going to read it, somebody else is going to read it. I think you settled on somebody else, but what did you do?
Well, the thing is, it's going to be easier for an actual voice actor who's experienced with that and has the software and stuff. If I were to create it myself, then there'd be all these ums and ahs that I speak with, as you listen to me in the podcast, you see these pauses and things like that. Those all have to be edited out for the book, so that it goes smoother. So it's just a bigger hassle overall for me to read the book myself.
Well, and maybe more monotone, maybe more, less animated. I'm sure the people that are actually doing this for that they do it for a living, they are good at putting different voice tones in there and stuff like that.
Yep.
When I read a story to my kids, you can do that, but if you read a informational book, a lot harder to put voice tones in there, excitement in there, that type of stuff. So definitely probably a good choice, but it's always nice to hear the author, but at the same time, a lot of times you don't even have a clue.
Yeah. And I think it actually is going to be exciting book, or it is an exciting book because, like I said, all the key, most important, mind-blowing information from all these different books, that's just what I have in my book. So it's all the best information, just like back to back kind of thing. And the free bonus chapter that I mentioned is about tax loopholes in real estate.
Nice.
So it's that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, definitely. So are you reaching out to all these authors and tagging them when you post it and trying to get them to promote your book at all? Have you done that yet?
No, not yet, but I will be. I just ordered a bunch of copies of the book that I'm going to sign and then mail out to the different original authors.
Nice
as well.
That's great. So somebody who says, "Man, it'd be great to write a book." What are some? Give us some of your experience. Like, okay, how hard was it? Was it daunting, or after you look back and go, "No, that wasn't that bad"?
Both, I would have to say. I mean, writing a book just comes down to writing one word at a time. Every word that you write is one word closer to the end. But I mean, where you start is trying to figure out what sort of topic that you want to write on. And I think it's helpful to do a lot of research to see where is the need for a book that isn't there. If nobody's written a book about a specific niche thing and you think people are going to be interested in that niche, then that's a good thing to write about. So then make an outline, decide all the different aspects of it, and then just start putting it together.
Yeah.
I spent a lot of my time at breweries drinking some beer while typing on my laptop, and that helped me go smoother, less distractions. But
I think that would be more distracting for me. What's the biggest what was the biggest hurdle to getting this book done and published and actually on the shelves?
The editing process was grueling. Oh my gosh. There's, one thing where you just type the book and have it done, but then you've got to have somebody go through word by word and nitpick about every single little thing about the flow and all that. And so there's a lot of back and forth with the editor about, finding the best version of the book, essentially, that's going to be publishable.
Yeah. Do you have to use an editor? Or could you just write it, maybe have peer review and then publish it? Or do you kind of have to have an editor?
You will want somebody who is has a degree in English, or at least you want somebody who's really skilled with that, because the way we talk isn't always proper English, I guess. So you want somebody who can, because also you might write the wrong word, that doesn't get caught in your spell check, right. To, TO versus TOO, or, things like that can make it through if you're just, and you reading your own work, your mind automatically changes it to what you meant, but somebody else reading your work will catch up on into those things. So, I'm self-publishing, or I self-published this book actually, but I hired an editing company to help with the editing process. And with the self-publishing, what I find, I did a lot of research about publishing books, and there's a lot of big publishers out there, but unless you're already famous or you have another best-selling book already, they're probably going to just ignore you,
right.
If you try to get them to look at your manuscript. So self-publishing is kind of the way to go for me, at least from the beginning.
Yeah. Interesting. And then what mistake? Any mistakes that you made along the way?
Yeah, I would say I didn't work hard enough on it. I got lazy at times where,
Mm.
um, Trevor McGregor actually made it, inspired me to work harder, though. He kind of explained it like, hey, there's all these people who are going to be reading your book, and their inspiration is waiting for you to finish this book and get it out on shelves. And so they're relying on you. They don't know you and you don't know them, but you're going to inspire all these people that, and you being lazy about it is keeping them from reaching their dreams. So they're depending upon me to finish my book, to get them where they want to be in real estate.
Yeah, that's a powerful way to really think about it. Like, man, if you've got knowledge and you have the desire to put it out there, you're actually delaying giving it to the right people that want to do positive things with it, and get it out there now because they're waiting for it, and their success, it depends on it, right? And so you got to get it out there. So yeah, this book, it's crazy to think you wrote a book that is going to change some people's lives. It's going to just be entertainment for some people. They'll read it, they'll think that was really good, and then they'll put it down and they'll never do something else after that. And then it'll be life changing though for some people. They'll read it and they'll go, "Oh my gosh, this is eye opening. I need to do real estate and I want to, start buying tax liens or whatever it is." And so then they'll dig into the actual book that you know referenced, and they'll change your lives. And so that's the really cool thing about it. And a lot of it you won't even know about. Hopefully people write to you and say, "Hey Matt, this was an awesome book. It was inspiring and really appreciate it." But there's definitely people that you won't even know that you're affecting their lives. So it's really cool.
Yep. And I think if you are looking to get into real estate but don't know where to begin, or if you're already doing real estate but wanting to explore the different options of different niches out there, this is a great book for you, because you don't have to read all these full books to really understand the different options out there. You can just
Right.
read this, condensed version of all these different books,
Yep.
and so you get the knowledge very quickly.
Yeah, and as you said, it's not a replacement necessarily for these books. It's the introduction
Mhm.
to these different niches within real estate. So it's a book about books about real estate, right? Um, so anything else you want to leave everybody with here on the book? Why should they buy it? Why should they give it away? Why should they share it on social media? Um, you know, to, any last words?
Yeah, I would say there's like three main steps with real estate investing. First, you got to educate yourself. And this is where that book comes into play. It gives you the base knowledge that you need, and the next steps of where to go from there. And then, secondly, you need to network. Like if you try to do this business by your own, you're going to go very slowly and it's not going to go as well as you would hope. So, networking with other investors, realtors, brokers, handymen, all that kind of stuff. And then the final thing is to take action. Educating and networking with other people is nothing if you don't take action.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely, man. Um, so, if you're listening to this and you want to learn more about any niche in real estate, or like for me, this is a great book to be able to give to people. I have a lot of newbie investors that ask me questions that I hear them saying, "What should I get into?" Or, "Hey, I'm thinking about getting into XYZ because of this." And it's like, you know what? How about you read Matt's book about real estate, and you can then navigate and figure out, okay, what's the right path? What's the right avenue for me versus just kind of going into it blind. So this is a great book for me that I'm going to be referring to a lot of people. I'm going to be giving to people. And so they can actually get down the right path versus just picking something that maybe doesn't work for them.
Yep. And I do recommend people avoid what's called the shiny object syndrome, where
Yeah.
you're like, oh, this way of investing looks cool. I want to try that. Like,
Yeah.
oh, this other thing is cool too. I want to try. If you try to do it all, you're going to do it all terribly. So
Yep.
my advice
Agree.
is people who read my book and see all these different niches, pick one, and then do that really well. And more specifically, pick one small role within that niche and do that better than anybody else.
Yeah, 100% true. I mean, you look at the guests we've had on the podcast, Matt. I mean, there's no one right or wrong way to do things. It's clear by the success of the people that have been on the podcast. Like, it's clear that you can buy multifamily and do really well. It's clear that you can flip single families and do really well. That you can wholesale and do really well. You can buy land, for crying out loud, and do really well. You can all kinds of. We've had like almost every niche on this show, and they all do really well. You got to pick one. You can't decide you're going to be good at it all, because you're going to be good at nothing, like you said.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Cool, man. Well, that's all I got. Unless you got anything else, we need to add.
Well, in the show notes, I'll have the links to where you can buy the book, as well as where you can get that free bonus chapter.
Awesome, Matt. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. And make every day Saturday.
Thanks. You too.
Hey, thanks so much for listening. I appreciate you being a loyal listener. I would love to have you go on to our Facebook page and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Go on to iTunes or wherever you listen and give us a rating and review. Don't forget to subscribe. Your rating and review just helps us push this out to more and more people and continue to grow our audience and hopefully positively affect a ton of people out there that really need this and want this. So the other thing I've got for you is a free ebook on my website. So go on to venturedproperties.com, and download our free ebook on real estate and on syndication. And I've got some data points in there, some really good stuff for you. So I'd love to have you take a look at that. It's free. I'm not expecting anything from it. And also, look, if you want some help in multifamily, want some help learning, growing, getting your business off the ground, I would love to talk to you about what it would look like to work with me potentially and see if that's a good fit. So you can go to coachwithdex.com and check that out, and we can definitely have a call. Thanks a lot for listening. You make it a fantastic rest of the day. I'll catch you on the next episode.